It is the Sports Lounge. It is Lounge 259, the Summer Beard Edition. Marcus Traxler is here. Chocolate Milk is here. Chocolate Milk, how are we?
Very good. Very good. Fairlife. Very good product.
Fair. What if I say that I don't like chocolate milk and have rarely tasted the beverage?
Oh, that's, I guess, more for me, and it's your loss. So, teach
What
their
if
own.
I say I don't like it? How is it my loss if I don't like it?
But, you know what? Everyone's got their own taste, so it's if you don't like it, you don't like it.
We live in a society now where.
Whoa, that's bad. That's bad. Is that you, me?
That's
I
probably.
heard that. Oh, I heard that. Talk again.
Talk now.
It's better.
Still bad.
Bad for you. Good for me now.
That's fine.
Good.
The good thing about 2018 is that nobody gets beat up for having opinions or anything. You know, nobody gets harassed online for opinions or anything. So it should be fine that you don't like chocolate milk. I actually have like a very hot and cold relationship with chocolate milk. Like sometimes I'm craving it. Other times I don't care if I ever see it again. So
dare I say it is probably my favorite beverage. I drink a glass or have a bottle of chocolate milk from the gas station every time after a workout. So
look at you.
Stig would approve. It doesn't make any sense, but apparently that's what they say.
Okay. If it's endorsed by Kevin Love and Zach Parise, it's good enough for me.
What you should do is drink chocolate milk and then drive to get some food and crash into a snowbank and get arrested for DUI.
What?
Like Stig did.
Oh.
Except with chocolate milk.
Okay.
Get drunk on chocolate milk and crash into a snowbank.
Yeah, they always say chocolate milk is good. Wouldn't white milk be good as well?
I like white milk better.
I do as well. Wouldn't milk be good? Does that constitute
I guess
post workout all milk is good, I guess?
I'm a guy who enjoys like lots of flavor, so like I enjoy dressings and sauces and all that sort of jazz. So I need a little extra flavor to the basics, and I'm probably going to get diabetes at some point with how much sugar I can put.
Well, that's fine.
I'll take chocolate milk over white milk any day of the week. Have you ever had strawberry milk before?
Well,
I would probably
not
like
since
that.
I was 6.
Yeah, I don't have that. I would probably like that. So when you would go through the line when you were a kid, like in elementary school, you would take chocolate milk?
They would only have chocolate milk on Fridays and then maybe some other.
Oh, wow. You guys suck.
Yeah.
Because of all those exports for the chocolate.
It's because of the tariffs.
It is because of the tariffs, mostly.
Yeah.
Mainly the tariffs. Charlie Hildebrand is here as well. It's just hot as hell in my apartment. It's so hot. Whenever it's hot outside, it's hot in here.
Here's my working theory, because I also live on the top floor of my apartment building.
I face the west as well, so the sun's right there.
I'm in the same boat. I got the sun in my face. I bought a dehumidifier recently.
Your apartment's hot during the summer?
Yes, always hot. It's hot in the winter. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Well, that's good. You can at least open you've had the crack to open the winter.
So we're gonna probably get the dehumidifier installed. I'll see if that helps.
Does that work?
Well, I'm hoping it does.
Can't you just plug it into the wall? You don't have to, or is it?
Oh yeah, no, you can. Yeah, you just plug it into the wall. It's just I just got to figure out what the right setting is, what makes sense. I have the air conditioning going now. It's fine.
It says it's 84 degrees in here, which is absurd.
Yeah, I have it down to 77, but if I don't have the air conditioning running, it's 80. I was gone for like 4 days in July or something, and it was like 90 in here because I didn't run the AC while I was gone.
Right.
I was going
real quick. Dumb question. I'm 80% sure I know the answer, and it's also 75% kidding. But if you were outside and had a whole host of electronic outlets that you didn't have to worry about blowing a grid, and you were outside in like Florida where it's super humid, could you put in like 19 dehumidifiers outside? And if you're standing right there, would it be less humid?
It would have to be.
I would have to think it would help. Yeah.
It would have to be. I would hope so. Zach, and what say you?
What do I look like, a scientist over here? I'd say yes. But we'll just go with yes.
We'll go with yes. I mean, yeah, I would think so. I would hope so. We'll start with talk of sport this week. Urban Meyer, 3-game suspension. Second, is that good enough for you?
No, it's not good enough for me. I can't scream. I can't.
Hey, he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Quit implicating him. He didn't do it, Stacken.
Caution, strong language coming up here from Stacken.
That's right.
He didn't do it, though.
It doesn't matter. He covered it up.
It doesn't matter if he didn't do it.
You know what? Joe Pa didn't do any of the stuff that Jerry Sandusky did, and look at that. I mean, it's I don't know.
To be fair, that we know of, Joe Paterno could have done that.
There's nothing. It was not implicated, but that's not. That doesn't mean anything.
I mean, he showed no remorse.
Couldn't have handled it any worse, for Christ's sake.
No, and then he comes out a couple days later and apologizes to Courtney Smith. You're only apologizing because of the backlash. You don't give a shit. So just shut up. I mean, I am cheering against Ohio State.
Good.
Every chance I get, I hope nothing but bad things upon them, and I really hope Urban Meyer goes out the door. This is a joke of a penalty, and Mary Jo White, who's the head of this thing, she also worked with the NFL on Bountygate, and so her credibility is next to nothing for me because she just seems to tilt the scales in the best interest of the bigger corporation, in which case it was the league. This time it's Ohio State. So she is not very good. Good at what she did. She did exactly what Ohio State wanted her to do. But the memory loss that Urban Meyer had, he suffers from huge memory loss. That's a bunch of bull. This is just
sounds like the chest pains.
It's a fucking sham. It's a shame. It's a mockery. It's a Travis Sham mockery. What the fuck is going on here? What the hell?
Charlie, a lot of people comparing Urban Meyer and Jim Tressel and the things that happened and the different penalties and the different penalties that those Ohio State players got many years ago for the tattoos and such. Is that a good comparison to say these players got suspended more than he did and his problem was a lot bigger?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't look great. The optics of it are bad. I mean, obviously it's not illegal to get free stuff or get tattoos. I don't know, maybe there's an age limit for tattoos, but if you're old enough to play Division I football, you're probably old enough to get a tattoo. And that there's no victims with the Jim Tressel thing, really. Where obviously now it is not as wide ranging in scope as Baylor or Penn State, where I think there's only one victim, but it's still bad and it looks bad. And yeah, I guess not everything, but more or less, I generally would agree with what Stacken said. Now, I will grant that I probably wasn't going to root for Ohio State regardless ever.
I was
not changing anything.
But this is just, I have far less interest in hoping for the greater good for them.
And I don't know, I've kind of been thinking about something. I think my new thing I've decided is that, like, a lot of times someone will make a mistake once, and you don't want to necessarily be like, oh, you can't ever have a job again for that. So this is my thinking, sort of like what Oklahoma did with Joe Mixon. I would just say domestic violence, you're just suspended for an entire year. If Urban Meyer was suspended for the entire season, I would be like, you know what? They didn't fire him, but that's a fairly strong punishment for an entire year. If you're a player, you're out for an entire season. That's what I would say.
I mean,
I don't want to say that and it's different with players and coaches. Like, that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
but
I think that's where I have the biggest problem is that I just can't see a player doing as many things as what's his face did to his wife that and only getting a 3-game suspension. I mean, I realize that obviously, like Krins mentioned before, Urban Meyer didn't do the crime. He certainly didn't help with the crime.
That's what I mentioned, but I'm quoting somebody else.
You are quoting somebody else, yes. And so I think I just think the double standard between the players and the coaches here is probably one of the more offensive things, not to mention that Urban Meyer's answer about Courtney Smith and what he would say to her was completely unsatisfactory. And then you have the follow-up statement 2 days later to sort of save face, and I don't think that helped either. So I just think the timing of this is very interesting, given that 3 weeks ago I think a lot of people thought there was no way he keeps his job. Then you sit there, Wednesday morning, Tuesday, you're thinking, he's going to keep his job. I don't think it was hard to see a way that they were going to fire him. And now you have all this fallout, and it's like, yeah, they probably should have fired him again. It's just, and I would tend to agree with Stacken that I think this is something that will hang over this team all season. I hope it does, and I hope this team goes 8-4. They blame this scandal on it, and he still gets fired. I don't think that's probably likely, but I'd love for that to be the case, because I don't think he's just bungled it so badly. When if he just gives a good answer in Chicago at Big Ten Media Days, he is not in this problem, and that's just that's just the fact of it.
I would never actively cheer for Ohio State, but I am actively rooting against them. I think maybe that's the biggest difference here now going forward for me. I hope nothing but ill will upon them. Second thing is that also Urban Meyer, if it was anyone that didn't have the name recognition that Urban Meyer has, and if he wasn't 73-8, if he was a 500 coach, he would have been canned. I mean, that's it. That's the bottom. That's the bottom line in here is that Ohio State is.
You've said that's the bottom line. That's a stone cold thing.
Stone, baby.
You said it doesn't matter. That's a rock thing.
Closet.
Now you just need to say Y2J.
You're putting down chocolate milk like you're Kurt Angle about 15. This is just.
Right.
What is that?
Well, isn't it like a WWE? What is that, or do I need?
I don't know what that is. That's something West Fargo.
It is now. You just made it up, Stacken. You got the WWE gang sign logo.
Boom! What an example for Noah. Stacken going rogue.
I've made bold statements before on here, and some of them have horribly backfired in my face. I think this puts an expiration date on Urban Meyer in 2.5 years from now. So by the end of the 2020 season, I don't think he's the head coach at Ohio State anymore. Whether it's something from this or backlash that wears on him and he resigns, or just a whole new scandal in the next 2 years, because everybody's going to be trying. They're going to be under a much, much greater microscope than they were before. I think, and I don't know how long it'll be, but I think by the end of the 2020 season, he's not going to be at Ohio State anymore. That this is shed such a light on things that now, if and I'm not saying this will happen this year, but it was easy for Ohio State fans to shrug things off, when they're going 12-1 or 11-2. If they go 9-3 this fall, people are going to be really angry at them, and then Meyer in turn is going to be angry at everyone else for being angry at him in the first place. And I just think that this whole thing has put a timeline that's ticking down on how much longer he's going to be there. I don't think by 2025 Urban Meyer's going to be at Ohio State anymore.
Schottenkirk, why this Zach Smith? Why keep him around for so long? The relationship with his grandpa and Urban Meyer, that's fine, but after a while, you read the list of all of these things that happened. I don't care who you are, you got to fire the guy after a while. So why keep this seemingly nothing coach when you could have fired him at any time? And are we to believe this is the only time this has ever happened? This is the only guy, only coach that this has ever happened with, that Urban Meyer's ever had on his staff?
That's what they would like you to believe, but I don't think so. I don't know the loyalty to him to basically almost cost him his job is mind-boggling to anybody with a brain, but I don't think there's any good answer. He made a ton of mistakes, and staying loyal to the grandson of his mentor is just another layer to the chapter. But I think Charlie's right. I think when you look back, if it's 2 years or it's 5 years, this is the official undoing and beginning of the undoing of Urban. Obviously, with his checkered past at Florida and leaving because of heart issues and all that crock of bullshit. But I think there's more to the story. I don't know. It's somebody's going to find it somewhere. He might not even be 2.5 years. I think he's going to be coming to a close pretty soon.
Deleted text messages. We'll see if anybody gets a hold of those.
If Russia or Brett McMurphy is out there, find the text messages.
Where are the emails?
Lock him up. Big Ten we start with, since we're already here.
Can I just make a quick comment? Because we're not going to break down the college football games from this weekend unless we want to have a big dive
Sure,
in the Wyoming New Mexico State game. My big prediction here going forward, I bet I can get Shotty to agree to this, is that in the next few years, this first weekend will be a lot bigger deal. Like, we're going to have teams, I think, pick up, where you're going to have your Chick-fil-A whatever games a week earlier too, because it's just kind of there for the taking and nobody's really doing anything with it. And
Can you start the week before this?
Let's put it this way: Hawaii, Colorado State last night on CBS Sports Network. If you actually found the number of viewers for that game versus the average CBS Sports Network game in that time slot this season, there's a hell of a lot more interest because, you're up against less competition and people are starving. So, I totally agree with Marcus. Well,
I just think, I don't get CBS college sports here. Otherwise, I probably would have watched it too. But I just think it's not going to take long for, name your two blue bloods to say, hey, let's play that week before because there's nobody else watching and we get a bye week after that if we want it. Just seems like a kind of a no-brainer.
I agree. Ideally, I would like it if there were like 10 games this weekend. They were all mid-majors against each other, but they moved the big group of 5 games, non-conference ones, to this week. Like UCF and Florida Atlantic played. If you played that in this week where it would be like, oh my God, Central Florida undefeated against Lane Kiffin. This is great. Like, I think that would be a nice kind of mix of you get more games and some high-profile ones, but also not having the blue bloods. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think within 3 years, there's going to be like, oh, we can have Alabama and LSU play this weekend. Let's do it.
Did everybody have Alabama and Georgia? Except Schottenkirk? Did you have South Carolina?
I sure did.
As did I. Marcus, what do you have? Alabama, Georgia?
For the record, I will have Alabama winning the SEC. Yep.
Versus Georgia?
Versus Georgia. Yep.
Okay, and then what is your Big 12 pick?
I have Texas over Oklahoma in the Big 12 title.
What the fuck? Everybody's fucking picking Texas.
I picked Texas to go 9-3, and I thought I was going to be the person that was high on Texas. It turns out I'm the lowest on Texas.
I was looking at this and I'm like, yep, there's no way I'll pick against Oklahoma. And then I'm like, you know what, Texas, yeah, I guess I could see it. I'll just spoil it now because I don't know if you guys have gotten in the playoff picks.
No.
That game for me will not have any playoff implications. That's why I'm a little willing to have that on the table. So. I'm looking forward to everybody creaming their jeans over Texas, Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game, but it ultimately not having an impact on the playoffs.
Charlie, the only one not to pick Texas in this conference, and he picked TCU.
By the way, this is the year that West Virginia, if you're ever going to make a run, here's your chance. You got Will Greer and what's his nuts receiver. Let's see
Stills.
it. Yeah, David Stills. Let's see it right here.
You got another guy that had like 800 yards receiving that's back too. I saw somewhere today that West Virginia is one of only 2 teams with multiple guys with over 800 receiving yards returning.
Also, when you guys talked about the SEC last week, do we have like a pick or who do we think is going to be the quarterback at Alabama?
Yeah, we never did that.
I have a feeling they will use Hurts, but I think Tua will be the guy for the majority of the season. I don't know what your guys' read is on that, but
yeah, I would say everybody would agree.
I would probably agree with that.
Yeah.
Hurts is their Tim Tebow goal line package guy.
Well, and everybody's kind of like Hurts will probably transfer, but they still have him for this year. So
you can call him the Hurts Dozer.
Hurts donut.
The Belldozer.
The Hertz Locker.
Why that better? That makes more sense.
So if South Carolina wins the SEC East, they're gonna give Beyonce and Jay-Z credit because they will have the new field. And if they suck this year, they're gonna blame Jay-Z and Beyonce because they have new turf. That's my thing.
I have no idea what that's in reference
Did
to.
they pay for that? Is that a real? What is this?
There was a Jay-Z Beyonce concert, and it destroyed the South Carolina field, so they were replacing it tomorrow.
Grass?
Yeah. Yep. Their crew truck, their sod from Sugar Hill, Georgia, coming up, and the South Carolina staff will be installing more than 90,000 square feet of Bermuda grass.
That's tainted if it's coming from Georgia.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
There you
They
go.
obviously didn't have the Twins crew on.
The grounds crew,
That
yeah.
is the best grounds crew in baseball, even though it's not. So
Who says that?
dumb shit say that. Big Ten East. Charlie, I contend the Big Ten East has been the best division of any conference for a few years now, better than the SEC West and all of this. Do you feel the same way? And why, like, the SEC, it's all about the SEC, but you've got, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan State. You got like 3 of the top 10 teams. I think all of those teams at some point have all been ranked at the same time in the top 10. Is it just a perception thing that this is not? I mean, this is the best conference. This is the best division of the best conference. And if people would be creaming their shorts, if it was Auburn and LSU and Alabama and Mississippi State in the top 10, but they don't cream their pants over Penn State and Michigan State. The fuck was that?
That would be my text message.
Was that the bulldozer?
Vibrate.
Tugboats coming in, folks. Tugboats. All right.
I agree
Charlie.
with your last point that if this was the SEC, people would be going nuts over it. I don't know. I think it's tough between the Big Ten East and the SEC West. I think the SEC West has more teams at the bottom that are capable of finding a way to get to 6 or 7 wins. I think the Big Ten East has more good teams. I mean, if you want to say Alabama is the best of all of them, I think that's fair. But after Alabama and whoever's number 1 from the Big Ten East, I think the Big Ten East has more top 15 quality teams. So, I mean, I don't know which is better. I think they're different. I think the Big Ten East is certainly better on top.
Stack, and you like Penn State, I think, throughout the years. You like Trace McSorley. Do you like Penn State this year?
I do.
They've got their running back, but as great as he was, I think they can do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, sounds like they have a pretty decent guy to fill in for Saquon Barkley, but those are some significant shoes to fill.
You muted. It got muted all of a sudden.
Come on, Stack, and figure it out.
Okay, there we go. Good.
Am I back now?
Yep, you're back.
You're good. Go
Stop
ahead.
muting me. Stop muting me. Just
I have that power, but my hands are here.
No, I do think, for the guy filling in for Saquon here, I don't remember his name right now.
I think it's Miles Sanders.
Miles Sanders, thank you.
Barry Sanders.
So they scored with a Y.
Anyway, significant big shoes to fill for Saquon, but I think he will do admirably. I think Trace McSorley is one of the better quarterbacks in the game, and I think they're going to have a decent enough defense. So I do like Penn State to make a.
Oh, it happened again.
Jesus.
I think it's just a reminder that this take might be horrific.
Yeah.
Bad take. Shut him down.
Hey, we back now here?
We're back. Yes, we're good.
I think Penn State's got a really good chance to win the Big Ten East this year. I think between Trace McSorley, defense, James Franklin will get that team right where they need to be.
Schottenkirk, a lot of people think this is a hot seat year for Jim. Is it a hot seat year for Jim?
Absolutely. I'll spoil what I was going to say at the end of the program. He's going to be fired at the end of this season.
Wow.
9-3 good enough?
I think 9-3 is good enough. I have them going 8-4, which is not good enough in my opinion.
Wow.
Quarterback, Patterson from Ole Miss, by far should be the best quarterback he's had up there.
And let me add something to that too. It all really, for me, it all comes down to that opener. If they go to Notre Dame and win, everything might change. And they have the talent. Harbaugh's obviously a good coach. They have the talent to win that division, to be a playoff team. They really do. But I just think with the schedule the way it is, if they lose that opener, they better look out.
I'll jump right in there, and I'll say that I think Michigan wins this week. I have them winning this division because, frankly, they have to. I would agree with Shadi that they're in a position where Jim's job depends on it. They've got a good quarterback. Their defense is very good, once again. I don't know how I feel about Ohio State right now. They're definitely the most talented of these teams, but I really don't know how the game against TCU is going to go. And I just think that Michigan will be the team that wins this division. I don't love
Michigan
to win the Big Ten East. I don't love Michigan State. Penn State would probably be, right there, but I have a lot of concerns, I guess, outside of McSorley. So for now, I like Michigan because I think they're the team that has to make a big jump, and I think they'll respond.
Piggybacking off what Traxler said, I also have Michigan winning the Big Ten East.
Yeah,
I understand Schottenkirk's point, and I could see that possibly happening. I'm basing this off of last year Michigan had 5 starters back, 1 on defense, 4 on offense. One of them was their quarterback who was out for the season after like the second or third game of the year. So they were incredibly young. Most of those guys are back. I think they're going to be one of the 5 best defenses in the country. I don't know if they'll be great on offense, but I think they'll be good enough to win, to go 10-2, which I got 10-2, winning the Big Ten East this year.
If they win at Notre Dame, by all means, they should be 7-0 going into Michigan State.
And actually, I do not. I've got them losing at Notre Dame to open the year.
And then losing at Ohio State?
And then losing at Michigan State.
Ooh, I got them beaten at Ohio State.
I've got the Ohio State-Michigan game being this is who's going to decide who goes to the Big Ten title game, and I've got Harbaugh and the Wolverines pulling it out. Is this going to blow up in my face? 7 out of 10, yes, it will.
I don't have a lot of confidence that this will be the right pick for me, but at least we can laugh about it in 3 weeks when it looks like it's got no shot. So,
what was it? 2 years? The game 2 years ago they should have won. They blew it, fumbled at the goal line. It was number 1 versus number 2 or something pretty goddamn close to that. And that was a big one. That was a big game.
Even last year, it was close. What's his name? J.T. Barrett got hurt and knocked out, and Ohio State was up by 3 with like 6 minutes left. And then I think the backup, who's the starter now, I think led them on a touchdown drive, and they won by 10. But
Stacking, who do you have? You have Michigan winning this division.
No.
You have Ohio State.
I do. I don't like it. I hope Penn State gets in. And honestly, the fuck do I know? I'm just going to say Ohio State.
Hey, somebody clip that and just play it on a loop.
I'm just going to say Ohio State reluctantly and hope like hell that Penn State or Michigan could take them down.
Schottenkirk.
Reluctantly, like Stacking, I have the Ohio State winning division, and I quite honestly – I could have picked any one of 4 teams because I think Michigan State, who hasn't been mentioned a lot, is going to be a hell of a lot better than they were last year, obviously, and they could be sneaky with that schedule.
They have Michigan and Ohio State at home. They go to Penn State. So they got Nebraska late in the year, Charlie, which I do have Nebraska beating Michigan State at the end of the year.
I also have that. I got Michigan State going 9-3, and one of their 3 losses at Nebraska.
I like Penn State to win this division.
Okay.
But they lose at Michigan, and they run the table after that. So that's what I like. Penn State to make it happen.
If you are of the belief that you need a good quarterback to win a division and go play in a conference title game, you got to like that about Penn State.
Hell is Penn State. In the West, let's start with Nebraska. Charlie, they've got a new coach. Who's this freshman they're starting here? Who is this guy?
Well, they had Taylor Martinez for 4 years, and then after a brief interlude in the middle, now they've got Adrian Martinez. No relation, but it appears they're going to have another Martinez for 4 years starting. And much like the previous Martinez, he's a fast guy from California. I don't know if they're going to go 10-2 the first year like they did with Taylor Martinez in the regular season, but I think they'll be their quarterback will be faster than last year, where he was only fast at throwing pick sixes.
I have them going 8-4.
As do I.
I've got Nebraska going 7-5. I did not plan it this way, but I've got them winning every home game and losing every away game.
At Pitt, at Illinois, at no, this is Penn State.
No, they don't have
That is not Nebraska's schedule.
their non-conference is pretty soft. Akron, Colorado, and Troy. So
Nebraska's road schedule, the 5 I've got them losing: at Michigan, at Wisconsin, at Northwestern, at Ohio State, at Iowa.
yeah,
Penn State has Ohio State and Michigan State back-to-back. They do have a bye week in between, and they have them both at home. So that's why I like Penn State there. Nebraska the Schottenkirk. Are they the second best team in this West here, Nebraska?
I mean, they're definitely in the conversation. It's kind of a crapshoot after Wisconsin. I could, if it goes right, I could definitely see them being the second fiddle out west. But I mean, it's clear Wisconsin, very, very good road. But I'm very excited to see what Frost does. That freshman quarterback has my attention already.
Marcus, these Gophers, the quarterback, they have a freshman as well.
yep.
I mean, this offense is just crap.
Just for fun, I'm hoping that they've not done it. Stacken and Traxler on 3 both say what you have Minnesota going this fall.
7 wins.
8-4.
Oh, I thought I heard Stacken say his was higher. I thought it was I thought it was he had him at 9-3. I apologize. Never mind. My whole thing's ruined.
I have him at 8-4, just like Nebraska.
Well, he's more optimistic about it than I am. I think
I was really optimistic about him last year, and that blew up in my face. So I've tempered my expectations this year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that even with starting a walk-on, quarterback.
What is this?
It's worth noting that I think he was a 3-star recruit who could have gotten scholarship places. He just chose to walk on at Minnesota. So I mean, it's not like this is some guy that nobody wanted.
I think that did he go to the IMG Academy in Florida or something like that?
Yeah, his brother plays for the Gophers. That's part of why he wanted to be there. His dad played for them as well. So, not a huge arm, but pretty, reasonably mobile, accurate quarterback. I'd take it. When you look at how poorly things went last year with Connor Rhoda and Demery Croft, I think any sort of stability here will be welcomed. The running game should be fine. No Shannon Brooks this year, but Rodney Smith's back. I hope the offensive line is serviceable. I think the receiving core will be better. I would agree. The offense is going to have to find a way to have some sort of consistency. Given that they didn't score in the final 2 Big Ten games last year is all you need to know about where they were at. Defensively, I don't know. It's a bit more of a crapshoot. They've got a few players, but I think they'll be very average defensively. So, I would hope that they can get through the 3 non-conference games undefeated. You go to Maryland, I have to hope that they can win that game. All of a sudden, you're 4-0 and you play Iowa at home. They're going to lose at Ohio State. They're going to lose at Nebraska. They probably won't beat Northwestern at home, and they'll lose at Wisconsin. So there's 4 losses right there. And I'd be pretty confident they'll drop another one somewhere along the line. So 7, if they're in a bowl game, I think given where this team is at quarterback-wise, I'd take that. So.
All I'm going
I've
to say
got them at 6-6, so I do have the Gophers bowling.
All I'm going to say about the Gophers is that all I care about is by 2021 they're really good, so they can beat the fuck out of Ohio State in the opener.
Yeah, that's true.
Zach, and we concur.
What?
With any Minnesota thoughts? You have them at 8-4.
I'm at 8-4, losing to Maryland, Ohio State, Nebraska, and Wisconsin. I have them winning all their home games.
You have them beating Iowa and Northwestern at home.
I do. Okay. Yep. But let's be real here. This is Wisconsin's division. I mean, they're going to wipe the floor with everyone in this division. So, I mean, when it's all said and done, hopefully Minnesota will get to a bowl game, and hopefully it'll be somewhat decent. But
I'm going to read this right out of the Phil Steele book that I have right here. But the Gophers 15-42 since 2004 on the road in the Big Ten. 7 of those wins in the last 5 years. I would like to. I'd be interested. Maybe I will do this when I get some free time, which probably will never happen. I'd like to see what the other road records are for the Big Ten teams, because I imagine they're probably not much better. So
42-0.
42-0, yeah, exactly.
Does Illinois win a conference game? Lovey Smith, what the fuck are we doing?
I hope not.
I have Illinois beating Rutgers as their lone conference win.
Go Buckers!
I have Rutgers also winning one conference game against
Indiana.
Against Indiana. I've got Indiana going 0-9 in conference.
I have Indiana at 7-5.
Phil Steele has here Illinois 7-32 on the road since 2008 in the Big Ten.
That's not good.
That's not good either.
Does everybody like Wisconsin to win the West?
Yes.
I do think it's worth noting, if you look at Iowa's schedule, they play at Penn State, which they don't win.
Powdery.
But their only other game that you really look at is they play Wisconsin in Iowa City. If Iowa could find a way to beat Wisconsin in Iowa City, things could get interesting, but I've got Wisconsin winning that game. So.
Wisconsin is at Penn State. They are at Michigan. They are at Iowa. So their three toughest games are on the road. So
it's amazing how many years Iowa has gotten away with playing Northern Illinois, Iowa State, and Northern Iowa in the non-conference. This seems like the 15th year in a row that's happened, even though that's
who do they play? Do they play?
And also they only get one tough crossover game from the East too.
Yeah,
Nebraska, it's happened a lot, and it's happened once or twice. I know with Wisconsin and Minnesota, we're like, oh my god, they got to play everybody good from the other division.
Yeah,
I don't think Iowa's ever had to play more than one good team from the East.
Can they not make? Can they make it so like number 1 plays 1, 2 plays 2? Can that not happen? That might not make hell of a lot more sense.
You would think so. I mean, this is the first year they're playing 9 conference games. I think it'll be fine, but you would think that they'd find a way to sort of get this schedule to work out a little bit.
Like every conference should do that in the crossover games. I like Penn State beating Wisconsin. I like Penn State to win the conference. Charlie?
I've got Wisconsin losing at Michigan in the regular season for their lone loss. And then I've got Wisconsin beating Michigan in the Big Ten title game. Wisconsin does not have the history of like USC or Oklahoma or Notre Dame, so they don't have as many all-time good teams. I think this potentially could be like one of the 2 or 3 best Wisconsin teams ever, with the best offensive line they've ever had in the history of their school.
Their quarterback, Hornibrook,
he's just okay. They're going to win with their offensive linemen and run game.
Yeah, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, Jonathan, who almost had 2,000 last year, and now all 5 of their offensive linemen are back. I think 3 of them were All-Americans last year.
Hornibrook, great name, terrible quarterback. So,
Marcus, you have Michigan, Wisconsin as well.
I have Wisconsin beating Michigan in the Big Ten title game. So that's that.
Traxler and I have the exact same thing happening.
We do. I don't love. I have to sound very depressed by saying that that Wisconsin's going to win the Big Ten. So,
and then the brothers Stacken and Schottenkirk here. They also have Wisconsin, Ohio State. Brother Nathan.
I will go with Wisconsin to get revenge on Ohio State.
Brother Nathan, let my people go.
Schottenkirk, do you agree with your brother?
I have Ohio State beating Wisconsin.
Yeah, there we go.
3 Wisconsins, an Ohio State, and a Nittany Lion doing the damn thing. There we go. The Pac-12, we go next.
To the Pac-12.
Washington. A lot of people like Washington because they're a good team. They got Auburn, game 1, game of the week, in my opinion. Auburn and Washington in Atlanta. Schottenkirk, I like Auburn to win this game. What say you?
I do too. Unfortunately, I think it's going to be a great game. Washington absolutely can win, but they're going to have to win the turnover battle. They obviously a pretty trendy playoff pick, considering the Pac-12 is not exactly great, and it hasn't been great for a while. But if they lose week 1, which they very likely could, they got to run the table. And given that schedule, I don't think they're going to find a way to run the table in the Pac-12.
Charlie, I think the conference is better. I think Arizona should be better. Washington's pretty good. Stanford's pretty good. Oregon's decent.
They've got a good quarterback, certainly.
You got the quarterback, Washington State. We all love Washington State.
I don't know how
Washington
good UCLA will be this year, but you got to like UCLA's future with Chip Kelly.
A lot of people are hard on Utah.
Washington State's not making a bowl this year, by the way.
That's a shame. That sucks.
In your face, Leach.
Leach. How long does it take Chip Kelly, Charlie, to do something here?
By do something, do you mean like win the conference, or do you mean like, hey, they went 10-2 and are getting maybe an at-large bid?
That'd be
I think it'll take like 3 years. I've got UCLA going 6-6 this year. I think they'll be better next year, but then in year 3, like I'm not saying they will always be the best team in the South, but I think by year 3 it will be essentially USC versus UCLA for the Pac-12 title, more or less. Other than a random year where Utah or Arizona are good, or of course Herm Edwards, because I'm sure we all have Arizona State winning the Pac-12.
What does their schedule look like this year? Probably bad.
Well, they play Michigan State. It's a home game for Arizona State, but
Amazing.
they do play the Spartans.
Oh yeah, they get UTSA at home. That feels like it could be an upset loss.
I have Arizona State going 2-10.
Yeah, I love that. This is going to be good.
Just real quick, would anything be funnier if Michigan State goes like 10-2, wins the Big Ten East, has a chance to get in the playoff, but they're like somehow we lost at night in Tempe, Arizona, to an awful Arizona State team? That would be the funniest thing ever.
Well, I hope that goddamn Herm Edwards doesn't at least ruin Pac-12 after dark. I mean, let's at least have some weird shit, if nothing else. So I need that.
Stack, and you usually like Washington, right?
Mm-hmm. I do.
What do you think about this Washington-Auburn matchup?
Well, Washington, if they lose, obviously, if they want to be in the playoff discussion, they can't lose another game. I think they are going to keep it close. I don't think Auburn's greatest, or a great team, but they do have Jarrett Stidham. They do have that Stidham guy. It is very close because they're playing it in Atlanta, so the neutral site is rather bullshit in my opinion. But kind of like Texas, Maryland, neutral field at Landover. What the hell?
I'm sure there'll be more Texas fans than Maryland.
Oh, I'm sure. But still, anyway. With that being said, I think I'll give Washington about a 45% chance to win this game, but I think ultimately they fall short.
Your Buffs, what's going on here? This seems like a bad year for the Buffs.
Buffs. I think it's going to go poorly for Colorado. I looked at that game against Nebraska, and I'm like, yeah, they got no chance there. I don't have the are they really not picked to – they must not be picked to finish last, though, huh? No, they're not. They got them ahead of Arizona State and UCLA, so that's – wow. So Phil Steele really has UCLA as finishing last in that division?
Really?
I'm going to just double-check that quick, but I think that's how I'm looking at it. Yeah, he does. Wow.
How's that?
Just says that they're a rebuilding team. They have one of the toughest schedules in the country, and Chip's been away from the college game for a few years.
They do have a tough schedule. UCLA's, I think they've got to play Fresno State, who won 10 games last year, and then they've got to play at Oklahoma in week 2.
Not great.
Yeah, get to a bowl game this year, Colorado. That'd be great.
And I'm not saying we have to do it now, but when we get to division winners, the team I've got winning one of the division has every bit to do with the schedule.
Charlie and I may very well have the same team here. So.
All right.
That might be 3 of us, by the way.
Yeah, I like that.
Schottenkirk, who's the quarterback here at USC?
Well, it's going to be an and/or situation, but JT Daniels looks like he'll take the first team reps.
Is he white?
He is white. Number one.
Who's the last black? Has there been a black quarterback since Rodney Peete?
I'm going to hedge and say no.
Are they the New York Giants or the Packers of black quarterbacks? That really never happened. Never happened.
It is what it is.
What is it? There's no blacks. That's what it is.
No blacks allowed, other than receiver, running back, linebacker, safety.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, other than every other spot on the field.
Athletic director, everybody.
But yeah, there you go. Perfect.
Offensive coordinator. Is T. Martin still the offensive coordinator?
He sure is. It's going to put me in my grave a couple years before, prematurely. But
I mean, amazing that all that shit last year at Tennessee, and I don't think they ever called him.
What's your? I've got USC at 9-3.
that sounds about right. I think best case is 10-2. I also have 9-3. They could be better. Obviously, the schedule early is very tough at Stanford, at Texas, weeks 2 and 3, and then turn around and go to the desert and play Arizona. September, they get through there 4-1 somehow. They'll have a chance to do something special. But I'm going to go ahead and say 9-3. And unfortunately, I have them losing to Notre Dame at the end of the season, which just kills me.
I also have USC at 9-3, but I've got them beating Notre Dame and ruining Notre Dame's playoff chances.
Thank God.
Charlie, what do you love about Arizona besides everything?
It broke up there for a second. I heard the
Texas advanced.
Everything crazy's going on.
Get out,
Texas, baby.
Let's suck it in and do it. Okay. What do you love about Arizona and their new coach besides everything?
There's a few things I like. Echo's still there.
Fucking crap. Okay, try it here. There we go.
All right. I like. Oh, Texas is still there.
Fuck.
Not going away. Matt Brown won another 10.
How about that? Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
It's still kind of there.
How is it there? This is a big one. Hey. Hello?
All right. I think it's better now.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay. They got Khalil Tate back. I like that. Kevin Sumlin's done well when he's at a really good quarterback, and I think Khalil Tate's better than every Texas A&M quarterback they've had except Johnny Manziel. And the biggest thing is that the Pac-12 has a 9-game schedule, so you play the 5 teams in your division, and you play 4 from the other division, which means you miss 2 teams. And the 2 teams that Arizona misses are Washington and Stanford, who I've got as the 2 best teams in the North.
Oh, wow.
So essentially, Arizona is missing the 2 best teams in the conference. And let me check real quick. And they play USC at home. So
and Oregon at home.
Yep. So I've got Arizona winning the Pac-12 South.
Okay.
10-2.
9-3. I have them losing at Houston in non-conference play.
I like that game. I like the Houston game. I think they also lose to Houston. 7-2. 7-2 should win the South. Should be good enough.
Yep, that's what I've got them at. 7-2.
Charlie, if you had to go, each of us here, who are our teams? When you think of Marcus, what do you think Marcus's teams are? You think of the Buffs, or the Gophers, anybody else?
For Marcus or for everybody?
For everybody, starting with Marcus.
For Marcus, those 2. I can't think of any other FBS teams off the top of my – I guess Tennessee for Marcus also. I don't know if he's put that one to bed yet or not.
It's never going to bed. They got a new coach now, so I'm back in.
Is that all the teams, Marcus?
I hope – well, I would have to say Clemson. I mean, I got the shirt, for God's sake.
Stacking, there's the Gophers and Virginia Tech. I don't know if there's any. I mean, I'll say we're all kind of Clemson.
We are, yeah.
We're all Clemson.
I mentioned we are all Clemson.
We are.
Schottenkirk has USC. I don't know if Schottenkirk has anyone else besides the Trojans.
No.
Long Beach State.
Florida Atlantic.
You're a closet UConn fan.
In a roundabout way, I'm kind of an Arkansas guy, shockingly enough. But.
Arkansas.
And for Stack, and I put in Penn State was in Washington. Were those classified or those not classified?
You talking to me or to Charlie?
Yes, to you.
I mean, you could say that. I would put myself in the Oregon category as well.
Oh, my God. Just take every team.
Sign me up for Rutgers. Come on.
Also, I want it to be noted, just to be safe, I like both Alabama and Auburn. So only one of them always wins.
You know who I won't take, though? I will not take Kansas. You guys can fight.
Oh, thank God.
The big one.
You know, sometimes it's fun kind of cheering for bad teams. Kansas is so bad, it's not even fun cheering for them, though.
Same with Butgers. Nobody can cheer for Butgers.
Those are the two that no matter how bad, I'm never like, yeah, I love them.
Any other team for Charlie besides Nebraska?
Might switch. I do at times, but it never lasts for more than 4 or 5 years because they either get so bad I don't care anymore, or they get good enough where I'm like, well, it's not fun rooting for them.
Who's that?
Nobody. I just whenever I've had one, it just after 4 or 5 years they either get too good, so I don't like them, or they're really bad. I mean, like I'm not gonna lie, when Scott Frost was the head coach of Central Florida, you could say Central Florida was. I don't think I'm going to care much about the Knights going forward, though.
Josh Heupel.
I like LSU as well. I always cheer for the Tigers to do well. And
Coach
O, send me some hummer next August because I'm going to be out of a fucking job. Sell me some hummer.
I don't know about forever. For this year, I guess I'll say West Virginia is one of my favorites because I think they're going to be fun to watch, even though I have them struggling to an 8-4 season.
If that's not part of the two-man show, I don't know what will be.
I had a big I always had a big crush on Kansas State because they were the Wildcats, and my high school team was the Wildcats. The logo was kind of interchangeable, and I remember what was it, the 2000 Big 12 championship where Darren Sproles ran wild, or 2001 or whatever.
2003 against Oklahoma.
Yeah, that was a great game at Arrowhead. Yeah, that was awesome. So. But
undefeated Oklahoma, who some people were saying, oh, my God, is this Oklahoma team the best team ever? Yeah. And then Kansas State just annihilated them.
And so I've always got a soft spot for Kansas State. And I'm honestly kind of bored with them because it feels like Bill Snyder's just kind of standing there. So I don't love that. But.
What is Coach O eating and driving these days?
Coach O loves the gas station chicken. Gotta stop at gas station and eat that chicken when you're in Batesville, Mississippi. Gotta get that gas station chicken. They fry it up real good. Oh man, that's great stuff. And I'm in a home.
Don't worry about them beignets. I'll get a beignet in the morning, get a beignet for lunch, get a beignet for dessert, get a beignet for dinner, and beignet for
beignet. What the fuck is beignet?
You've never had a beignet? You gotta get the powdered sugar donut. Oh man,
beignet.
Oh my God, it's great. I people eat it with coffee, but I don't drink coffee. Only Red Bull. That's all I do, and it's great.
Is that your?
I gotta ask Coach O, you get all this chicken from gas stations? Are you worried about E. coli at all?
Love E. coli. Love it. If I could recruit it and put it on my defensive line, I'd do it.
Is that Dale Taylor or is that Coach O?
That's Coach O.
Don't eat a beignet in the Hummer though. Don't eat it because the boss will get all over the seat.
What are you talking about?
You don't know what a beignet is?
No.
Well, fuck
Jesus Christ.
Come on.
Beignet.
I'd say Google it, but I don't know how to spell it, if I'm honest.
Benoit.
No.
This is almost as bad as Stacken saying a couple years ago you didn't know who the fuck Phil Steele is.
Benoit. Chris Benoit.
Yeah, it's not spelled like Benoit. It's not. It's Beni. I'd have to look it up, but there's a G in there. When Krins and I go to New Orleans, I'll take them there.
What the fuck is it?
It's great. They're great donuts.
New Orleans donuts. Beignets.
Yes.
Fuck that.
Wait until you have one.
Krins, of all the things he's anti-donuts now.
I'm anti-beignet.
I hate Krins now. I hate Krins. There's no way.
I don't know. They're like
donuts are one of my 5 favorite foods, and you're like, God damn.
I'm done with Krins for a while. That's ridiculous.
What makes this? It's what powdered sugar looks like.
They're hot when you order them. I forget the place in New Orleans, but it's right next to that
like donut holes.
Right next to Union Square or whatever it's called.
The French Quarter.
It's in the French Quarter, and it's they just have this place, and they cook them. It's 24 hours. We went there twice when I was there with the Collegian, and it was great. They're terrific. So
pastries.
No, not pastries. No.
Don't call out fucking pastry.
Beignet, what type of food is it? It says it's a fucking pastry.
Well, I guess it is a pastry, but there's no filling in it. It's just
hors d'oeuvres.
Yeah, no, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
I'm reading Google.
You're off your goddamn rocker.
Charlie, who are my teams?
Krins maybe has the most teams. Clemson,
God damn it!
and maybe everyone he's got a hat of.
Quit texting Shoddy.
I'd say Clemson, Auburn, LSU.
No.
So Tigers. You
No.
just like
Both
Tigers.
Auburn and LSU.
You can't have teams. You can't have teams if you actively hate their quarterbacks every year. That's ridiculous.
I do hate LSU. Get a good quarterback.
Missouri. Missouri. If you're going with Tigers, you got to go with Missouri.
Then yay. East Carolina, Tulane, not so much.
Yeah, East Carolina.
Yeah, Michigan a little bit. That's a good list. Charlie, what's
Michigan
your
a little bit. You don't. You don't find very many people who are like, you know what, Michigan's kind of okay. It's usually either you love them and you're a Michigan fan, or you hate and despise them and hope they die in a fire.
I don't have any problem with Michigan.
I like Michigan one day a year, and it's when it's playing Ohio State.
I like Harbaugh because he's weird.
He's weird as shit.
You know what?
I can't believe he either put out a depth chart or I suppose they announced. I mean, they knew Shea Patterson was going to be the quarterback, but they announced the starting quarterback like 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, is Harbaugh feeling okay?
Are you watching Big Brother here, Marcus?
Hell no.
Oh.
Watching Big Brother? Who do you like? Who do you think should be kicked off? What do you think? Like, comment, share. God damn it.
Share, like, and smiley faces.
I know I'm watching Champions Tour Golf. Shotty, you watching this?
You goddamn right. Golf Channel all day, every day.
What a joke.
Where are we at this week?
At some place in the woods, it's great.
Washington.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Charlie, you're Pac-12. Arizona and Washington?
Thank God for getting back to the Pac-12 preview.
Yes, that is correct. I have Arizona winning the South and Washington. Arizona at 9-3, Washington at 11-1. I've got Washington losing at Oregon, which means I've got them beating Auburn week 1, mostly just because you can never guess what Auburn's ever going to do ever, so I picked them to lose.
And Washington to win that deal?
Yep, I got Washington winning the Pac-12.
Cafe Du Monde was the name of the place in New Orleans, so it's great.
Nathan Stacken. Pac-12 picks.
I got Washington in the North.
It's muted again.
Stop muting yourself.
I'm not muting it.
Quit hitting yourself. Quit hitting
I got
Well, I don't know. Every time we bring it up, you're upset, but you unmute it really quick. So I don't know.
There's no muting. Find the muting. There's no muting.
I think I might know what the problem is. So we'll rectify this here. I have Washington in the North. I have USC in the South. Fight on, Trojans, but you're going to lose to Washington in the championship game.
Schottenkirk.
I've got Washington over Utah.
Oh,
We
wow.
love Utah.
So this is the deal. We've got 3 different teams that it sounds like Charlie, David, and I like because mine is different from those 2.
And here we thought we'd all be the same.
We all thought we were, yep.
Yeah.
What do you got, Marcus?
Mine is certainly against the grain, but it is heavily schedule and quarterback related. I like Oregon in the Pac-12.
The fuck.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
I like it.
Holy fuck.
Of all the limbs in the Pac-12, that's the biggest one, so I respect that.
I was coming up with my picks, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take some chances. I don't care if I'm wrong. They've got the right teams at home. They host Washington and they host Stanford both in the first half of the year. They do have a bye before the Washington game, and they have San Jose State before the Stanford game, so that's a good position to be in. End of the season feels relatively soft. They do have to go to Utah.
At Utah?
They do have to go to Arizona, and they do have to go to Utah. But they have a great quarterback. First-year coach is the part that kind of has me hesitant. But I think if they can get the offense high-powered and try to outscore some teams, they'll be fine. But they couldn't stop a Stanford nosebleed last year, so that's going to be a big concern when those 2 teams play. I mean, I'm sure we'll get into the Heisman thing. I think Bryce Love will be the Heisman winner, and I think that I like Justin Herbert as well, but I think it'll be Hebert, Bobby Hebert, one of those two. So
Stephen Ames with a solid 9 under today.
Stephen F. Austin, Stephen F. Ames. I think Washington, I would agree. I think Auburn will win that game this week, and I think Washington will have one other F up. I don't know that Oregon necessarily will run the table because that seems like a tall ask, but this could be like a 3-way tie type thing in the North, and I like Oregon the most, I think, there.
Oregon and Arizona, or who?
Oregon and USC, and I mean, if I'm taking Oregon to go this far, Oregon over USC.
You have them making the playoff.
I do.
Fucking mother.
Hang on a second. You have Oregon making a playoff?
Well, I have one team out of the Pac-12 North, and if I think that if Oregon is going to beat Stanford, I mean, I'm sort of hedging here because I do feel like it could be a 3-way tie. So Oregon may not make the playoff.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have an announcement to make. We can refer to Marcus as Big Dick Marcus from now on. That's good.
Let's put me on the record. Oregon in the playoff. Why not?
Yes. Big Dick Marcus. Here we.
I mean, Stanford's really good, but they got all those road games. Washington, Oregon, Notre Dame, so that's difficult. Stanford should be really good. So I like Washington to beat Arizona in this deal.
Just while we're putting everything on the record, I have Washington beating Utah in the Pac-12 title game, but in the regular season, I have Utah beating Washington.
Okay.
What he has. The ACC, we go next. Schottenkirk, is it the difference between Clemson and whether it's Miami, the second best team? Is that the biggest gap of all the conferences between the best team and the number 2?
I would say that's probably pretty safe to say, yeah. They, unless Clemson gets hit by a ton of injuries, and even if they get hit by a ton of injuries, they're probably the favorite to win the ACC this year. Florida State should be quite a bit better if they stay healthy, but it's Clemson or bust.
Willie Taggart, Charlie, you like it?
I like it. I think he's going to do well there. I don't know if they'll be great year 1, but I think by year 2 or especially 3, kind of like Chip Kelly with UCLA, but maybe to an even higher degree. I think they're going to be pretty good in the future. I mean, Florida State going 8-4 the first year, but I mean, you look at the schedule.
Oh.
Florida State, but I mean, outside of Clemson and Notre Dame, and I guess Miami. But I don't think they're going to beat Clemson. I don't think they're going to beat Notre Dame or Miami either, but I wouldn't be stunned if they beat either of those 2 schools. And I think it's going to be pretty quick to where Florida State, as the only, or not the only, but especially compared to what some of the what Florida State used to do with Jimbo, with a very Alabama, this is how we're going to do things, to now kind of embracing a more wide open offense. I think it's going to work very well for the Seminoles.
I'll ask this question until it's no longer applicable. Oh, my heavens. It's hot and 90 in Fargo, but we got the long sleeves on.
Exit light. Enter Stacken's hoodie.
That's great.
Grain of sand. Off to Virginia Tech land.
Holy shit.
Oh,
No.
That's great.
For the Emmys on the end of the year list of things to
Oh, my God. That's in the reel. That is in the reel.
Things. Remember the moment about an hour in on Lounge 259. Stacking, you like Vodtech to maybe just run the table?
No, they're going to lose to Florida State right away, and then they're going to run the table.
What?
11-1.
Who?
No, you can't do this right now. No, dude, no. You cannot do this to yourself.
What's going? Virginia Tech's going to do this?
Yep.
Oh, God. Stacking. I had even more faith in that in you. Oh, my. Oh.
What? Why do you like them to just ransack?
Oh.
Like Josh Jackson a lot. I'm not going to give up.
He plays for the Suns. I don't give a shit. He plays for
How many stars have you lost to suspension and injury this offseason?
You're muted.
I think the number's 4 is on defense. Boy, Big Dick Marcus, we got Big Dick fucking stacking now too. Jesus Christ.
Well, now, in saying all this here, I look at their lose to Miami, they can lose to Notre Dame, so I figure they're going to be no worse than 9-3.
I have them at 9-3.
So
I also have them at 9-3.
So with that being said, they aren't going to go to a BCS game. They're going to lose to Clemson in the ACC championship game, and Miami ultimately will get a higher spot over. Well,
so you have Miami losing.
I just have Miami losing one game to Virginia Tech.
Wow. Okay. Let's see, Marcus. This ain't a bad thing, but is Mark Richt turning Miami into what Georgia used to be, 10-2, good team, not winning a playoff game or anything like that, or winning the conference for Christ's sake.
I will be back in 20 minutes.
Well, I'd say he's only been here for 2 years. He was 9-4.
They got him cooking now.
Yeah, he does. 10-3. I like that the hat dance is in full force here. That's beautiful. And I like Miami a lot. I think that this is a really good team. I think their defense is terrific. I would assume the turnover chain will be back.
Oh yes.
We had a moment there last year where people were losing their minds after that 41-8 win over Notre Dame. But I think the schedule sets up very friendly for them. Obviously, Florida State at home. So I obviously like Miami to win their division, and they will play Clemson in the ACC title game.
Charlie, do you expect – I mean, Miami had a lot of turnovers, like 30 to 31 turnovers last year.
They did. They made a whole big deal about it with jewelry and everything.
And turnovers are kind of an inconsistent stat of sorts. It can be high one year, low the next. Or does that worry you about Miami that they just won't get 3 goddamn turnovers a game?
A little bit, and I think there's no way they're going to force nearly as many as they did last year. Now, I think they could still have a decent amount of turnovers, and I think they're talented enough to win a lot of games. I do not have them going 11-1 like Stacking did. I've got them going 10-2, but I do have them winning the Coastal Division. Like, I think they're going to be really good, but I think if you're looking at Miami as a national title contender, they're going to disappoint. But at the same time, if you're looking at them to really fall off from last year, I think they will be – I think they'll be more or less as good as last year. They're pretty good, but not one of the 5 or 6 best teams in the country.
Does LSU-Miami intrigue you? Is that in Dallas?
It does intrigue me, yeah.
I think they lose to LSU. A little bit of
I don't think so.
I don't have this, but would anything be more ACC than Miami showing up, losing to LSU? LSU goes 6-6. Coach O gets fired, and Miami's like, man, we're 10-2. We're playing in the ACC title game. If we would have just beat that shitty LSU team, we'd have a chance to make the playoff. Because so many times in the last 5 or 6 years with these opening season SEC, ACC games, like this year, ACC teams got this, and it just blows up in their face. But with that said, I've got Miami winning. So,
John Kirk, what does Clemson do with their quarterback?
I hope it's Trevor Lawrence, the freshman.
Do you think it will be after maybe the first month?
I think it will be maybe potentially sooner than that. You'll probably see him week 1 a little bit. I would have to imagine they're going to A&M week 2, right? We'll see if they throw him to the fire. I mean, they have the ability to trot him out there and not have him be great right away. But he's certainly the most talented quarterback they have on the roster, in my opinion.
To me, the really interesting thing with that is I think if they start Trevor Lawrence, they're more likely to suffer a weird upset along the way, especially one that could keep them out of the playoff potentially. But I think they need him to be good if they're going to be like, we want to beat Alabama in January.
Exactly.
So it's this weird line they have to walk where he's got the higher ceiling but the lower floor, especially for the first month and a half of the season.
Yep.
This was the question I was going to ask before Stacking ran in with his sweatshirt in the middle of the summer here. Marcus, why – this is the question I'll ask every year. Why
say it already?
Did Bronco Mendenhall go to Virginia?
I don't know if he just decided, yeah, I don't want to be Mormon anymore, or what the deal was, but it doesn't seem like a very good decision, does it?
Seems like a bad decision.
To be fair, they made it to a bowl game last year.
Unbelievable.
I think they got annihilated by Navy.
Unbelievable.
And then in the offseason, he said, like, we only have 28 ACC caliber players on their roster, which since they were in year 3 of him as the head coach, seems like that's kind of his fault.
Get some guys in there. Charlie, you like NC State or not? People like to maybe hold on NC State.
I think where did they go? I've got them going 8-4. I think they went 8-4 in the regular season last year. I've got 3 teams going 8-4 in the Atlantic behind Clemson. I've got Louisville, Florida State, and NC State all going 8-4, kind of being decent but nothing special and beating each other. And I've got all of them losing to Clemson. I think NC State's going to be fine, but I don't think they're going to really be any better than they were last year, losing all the offensive line.
All right, guys, I have to run.
Your picks quickly, Clemson, Marcus.
Clemson over Miami in the ACC title game. I was very tempted to go with Miami, but given that I've already put myself out there with Oregon, I will make that my one off the wall playoff pick. My playoff: Alabama, Georgia.
Hold up.
Write it down. Get your pen already.
Alabama, you're 1.
I do not have these seated, but yeah, Alabama will be my 1. Alabama, Oregon, Georgia, and Clemson.
Clemson at 2.
Clemson's my 2, Georgia's my 3, Oregon's my 4. How's that sound?
And what, Alabama, Clemson again?
Sure.
Who wins it?
Alabama.
Bama, Clemson. We saw it once. We've seen it 19 times. We'll see it again. Your Heisman winner is?
Bryce Love, running back, Stanford.
Bryce Love, Stanford. Marcus Traxler, there he is, folks.
Thank you. Have a great day.
Then there were 2. Schottenkirk, your ACC picks.
Clemson, it doesn't really matter in the other division, but I will reluctantly take Miami just because the attrition of everybody else.
Charlie?
I have the same. I hate picking the same 2 teams in the title game with the same team winning 2 years in a row. That's what I've got. Clemson over Miami in the ACC.
As I do as well. Clemson.
I think Clemson would be the most stunning of every conference that they didn't win. Like, I think I picked Alabama to win the SEC, and I think they will. But I would be more shocked if Clemson didn't win the ACC.
Marcus's surprise team would be Oregon. Stackens would be Virginia Tech. Charlie, what is Arizona yours?
I guess Arizona. I mean, at 9-3 and winning the division.
We all have Texas.
And then, depending on your thoughts, if TCU winning the Big 12, so either TCU or Arizona for me, or I mean, I don't have them winning the conference. Michigan at 10-2, if you want to count that. I guess those would be the 3 that would take the biggest jumps compared to last year.
Any teams go the other way?
Apparently I hate Boston College because I always pick them to do horribly and then they do much better. I've got Boston College going 4-8, even though they've got a pretty good running back. I'm looking through my picks quick, double checking to make sure.
You said Boston College going 4-8, right?
Yep, that's what I picked, and it's going to blow up in my face.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I have the exact opposite. I have 8-4 for Boston College.
I guess the other one, kind of. I've got Washington State going 6-6. I mean, I don't remember what. I think they were like 9-4 last year or something. Like not great, but fairly good. I think Schottenkirk said he didn't have them going to a bowl game. I've got them slightly better, but certainly not all that great this year.
Schottenkirk, what's your playoff? Orange Bowl and the Cotton Bowl are the games this year. National Championship is in Atlanta. Hold on here. Let's see. Yeah, do that first. Yep.
The playoff first?
Yep.
Okay, Alabama has the 1 versus Texas, the 4 in the Orange Bowl. And then Clemson the 2 and Ohio State the 3 in the other one.
Alabama and Clemson again.
We have Bama and Ohio State.
Ohio State, and who wins?
Nick Saban.
Nick Saban wins. Marcus at Alabama, correct?
Yeah.
Your Heisman winner.
I'd hate to double up on Bryce Love, but I'm going to.
Bryce Love, I like him.
Nah, scratch that. Give me Khalil Tate.
Khalil Tate. Charlie, your final four.
I've got 1 Clemson, 2 Alabama, 3 Wisconsin, and 4 Washington. So I think I have the exact same 4 teams as Sports Illustrated, even though I made my picks before they came out with theirs.
3. Okay. And you like Clemson and Alabama?
Yep, I've got Clemson, Alabama 4.
And Clemson winning another national title?
I feel like I should pick Alabama, but always part of me, I've got Clemson winning.
And your
Clemson winning the title.
Heisman winner.
So this is a true story. I wrote down 2, hadn't decided which one. One of them was Khalil Tate. So since Schottenkirk took Khalil Tate, I will pick the other one I wrote down and go with Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin running back.
That was my other. Yeah. I'm glad somebody picked him because I think he has a really good shot. I already hate myself for picking Ohio State to beat Clemson in the semi, by the way.
Yeah, you don't like it. You don't like it.
I just don't want to see another Alabama Clemson in it, but whatever.
I have Clemson as a 1, playing Texas as a 4. That's of orange in that game. We like orange. In the Cotton Bowl, we have Alabama and Penn State. We have Clemson over Alabama. With that, let's see. First team out I have is Washington at 11-1. Not making it. Or 11-2, I should say. Not making it. Sugar Bowl, I have a Sugar Bowl of Oklahoma, Georgia. Schottenkirk, do you have a Sugar Bowl?
West Virginia, South Carolina. How do you like that?
West Virginia versus South Carolina. That's a hell of a fucking game right there. Charlie.
I've got Georgia and TCU.
Georgia, TCU. Rose Bowl, Washington, Ohio State. Schottenkirk.
Washington, Wisconsin.
Charlie.
Michigan, Stanford. The Jim Harbaugh Bowl.
Boy, that'll be one right there for the books. Fiesta Bowl, Auburn, Boise State.
I think we mentioned it last week. I got Notre Dame, Boise. I think Charlie does too.
That is correct. I also have Boise State, Notre Dame in the Fiesta Bowl.
Oh. Peach Bowl. I have Miami versus Wisconsin.
I have Michigan State, Miami.
I also have Miami. I have Miami playing Ohio State.
Ohio State. There we go. Anything else that we missed? Anything else? Notre Dame, we got them in the deal. Week 1. We got a few games week 1. LSU, Miami, Auburn. Yes.
With the big picture, I think outside of Alabama and Clemson, I know there's some favorites, some pretty distinct favorites in the other for the 3 and 4, but I think it could get really, really wild with just a few games going one way or the other. You can basically pencil in or pen in Alabama and Clemson, but from 3 on, 3 to like 8 through 10, I think this year is going to be as crazy as it's ever been since the playoff started.
I can see that happening. I mean, every so often you've got really weird, strange years. Last year, I mean, I don't know if it was that weird last year at the end. I mean, it was basically we had the top 3 teams for the playoff, and it was just who's going to get the 4 seed between a whole bunch of bad options that Alabama was the least bad option of. But yeah, so it would make sense if this was the year where it's like, yeah, I don't know. We've got 4 teams that could be the 4th seed, and they all make really strong cases.
And part of the rationale for me in picking some of those bowl games, like a West Virginia, South Carolina Sugar Bowls, because I think it's going to be wild at that level with the teams that win 9 or 10 games.
What's your first team out?
My first team out would be, let me see here.
Wisconsin?
No.
Washington?
1-1-8 for Wisconsin and Washington.
You have both with 2 losses?
I sure do.
Charlotte?
Based off of what I picked, I guess it would either be Georgia, Ohio State, or Stanford. I've got Georgia at 11-1, then losing the conference title game to be 11-2. And then I've got both Stanford and Ohio State with 2 losses and not playing in the conference title game. Or I guess maybe Miami also. What do I have Miami? Yeah, I've got Miami. Or no, I guess they'd be 3 losses because I've got them losing.
We have not had a 2-loss team in yet, right?
We have not. And I didn't plan it this way, but I have no undefeated teams. And I have 4 Power 5 teams that finish with 1 loss, and those are the 4 in the playoff. And I've got everyone else with 2 or more. So I didn't plan to have that happen, but that was just the way it worked out when I picked the games.
I have Clemson undefeated. I have 3 other teams with 1 loss, so that's how they make the playoff. Right there. If Stack and Reed joins us, do you think he has his other bowl games picked or not?
I think he does. I think we've done this enough years that he's probably on the ball.
Conspiracy theory. Stacken thought we were getting to that point, hadn't picked them. That's why he left for 20 minutes to go pick the other ones real quick.
Fair enough.
Anything we should check out on the podcast of Stacken and Charlie college football preview?
Yeah, I mean, it's worth listening to. There's a lot of the same stuff we talked about here, but we go into, I guess, a little more detail because it's just 2 of us talking instead of 4 and 5. I'm almost positive that Stacken told me the first time when he called me
9-3
that he had Minnesota at 9-3, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. And then I forgot that he had Virginia Tech at 11-1, but we talked about that too, and I was just like, wow, that's bold.
Goddamn insanity is what it is. What are the week 1 games here? LSU, Miami. What, Auburn, Washington, is that a 2:30?
Yep. Yep.
Marcus will get the picks going again.
I'm not calling for this as an upset, but a sneaky, you never know what could happen, and it would be interesting and funny. Lane Kiffin and Florida Atlantic play at Oklahoma in week 1.
Yep. Nice.
Fox.
That's week 2, isn't it?
Oh, is it week 2?
Oh,
Maybe it is
week
1
2. On September 1st. Yeah, that's 11 a.m. on Fox.
Oh, shit. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because week 2, Oklahoma plays UCLA.
Right. Yep, my bad.
Texas, Maryland was a very good game last year, entertaining because Maryland scored a shit ton of points. So they have that rematch. What was it? UCLA and A&M last year was the Sunday game. That was the best game of the week. That was entertaining. 2:30 CBS is Tennessee, West Virginia. So it was on ABC is the Auburn-Washington game.
What's the Sunday game this year?
Miami and LSU. That's all right.
And is it Virginia Tech, Florida State? That's the Monday one, or am I getting stuff mixed up?
That would be correct. So it's on. Then you got Louisville, Alabama. That's a year or 2 late on that one. That's a shame. But you got Michigan, Notre Dame. They do have them pretty well spaced out. Your 2:30 game, your 6:30 game. Michigan, Notre Dame. That should be all right. So good deal there. Any final thoughts?
I mean, I don't think I have too much. Pretty excited for football season to start. Have stuff to to do before I go to work on Saturdays instead of just being like, there's not much going on right now.
You got your thing out, week by week?
Yep, the Ultimate College Football Road Trip is out. Also, we started a thing with the 5 best prospects in the Sioux City Journal's coverage area, high school seniors to play college football. That will be the initial list is out. I don't know if we'll add more names to the list or not. We certainly might switch the rankings around. We will have a running tally on the stats they have and how they did the previous week. And obviously, the only example I remember off the top of my head, a kid from Lewis Central in Council Bluffs who's committed to play quarterback for TCU, only completed 7 and 9 passes, but they went for like 200 yards and 5 touchdowns, and he also had like 100 yards rushing too. Because when you're a Division I quarterback, you're usually pretty good playing against other high school kids.
Where else are they going?
I was surprised. I didn't plan it this way when I started it, but the 5 I have all are either committed to or have offers from Power 5 schools. There's a kid from, or I guess I don't know if the towns will help anybody because a lot of them are small towns. But a kid from Holstein, Iowa, an offensive lineman going to Iowa. Max Duggan, who's the quarterback from Lewis Central in Council Bluffs, going to TCU. There is a defensive tackle from northeastern Nebraska going to Nebraska. A defensive end from Beersford in South Dakota who's going to Iowa State.
To Ohio State?
Iowa State. Oh, Iowa State. Still Power 5, and I don't want to sound like I'm knocking the Cyclones. It is not the Buckeyes, though. And then a kid who is not committed but has offers from Iowa and Indiana, a running back from Council Bluffs, Thomas Jefferson.
Do you know much about Dakota Valley this year? They are a number 1 team.
I do know that they're number 1. They opened the season at Del Rapids, so we did not have anyone there, but we got a email of the stats that I quickly wrote up to get in the paper that they only attempted like 5 passes and ran for 310 yards and won by like 17 or something like that.
Like 49-32. Good game right there.
Their quarterback ran for over 200 yards.
Not bad. Baseball.
I will be back shortly. I will stack it. I will less than 20 minutes, but I'm going to take a break.
I think he said he's going to take a shit. Not quite sure. Now it's down to 1. The last man standing. Do you have any strong feelings about the MVP or Cy Young races? I think there are. American League is close. The National League is close. Cy Young, there's maybe 2 or 3 guys in each league you could argue for. There's still a month to go. Is there anybody you feel strongly about for either of these things?
No, not really. The AL Cy Young's sort of interesting with a couple of injuries at the top or near the top. If the Rays keep winning and somehow keep going in Blake Snell, he's been a lot better after living with a dip there 6 weeks ago or so. But I'm not bored, but it's just been one of those years where I haven't truly got into it. The MVP and Cy Young race, I should say, the actual season and the way the games are being played in the standings, the wild card and playoffs, I'm as interested as ever, but just the awards this year, for whatever reason, haven't been at the top of my mind.
I think Oakland plays Houston tomorrow. So that's a 1.5 game difference there. They took 3 out of 4 from the Twins. I'm intrigued by how do you see the Twins' rotation next year?
There's options, and we haven't been able to see there's been options for a while, but the potential Urban blowing up put a little bit of a monkey wrench into everything for me next year. But with the young kids, the way Barrios has performed, Gonslaves might be a guy. It's been a little bit rough the first couple of starts. I think they have 7 or maybe even 8 guys in consideration for the 5. Obviously, 1 through 4 is pretty well set. But
You like Barrios, Gibson, Odorizzi, and who else? Do they bring back Irv? I would not.
I wouldn't either, but I think they might be. I think they might for just given the injury this year and obviously blown up. I think try to recreate one more time, and it's a mistake. But knowing, well, I shouldn't say that. Obviously, the front office has been different, but knowing the Twins and generally, they're willing to give a guy a longer leash than most other clubs.
Buxton is doing well. We'll hopefully see him in maybe 2 weeks.
Yeah, I would have to assume that he'd be up pretty quickly after the minor league season's over. I can't do it to myself anymore. I can't get too excited because we splurge our pants for 2 weeks or 4 weeks, and then he goes back to getting hurt and sucking. So I'm still hopeful, very hopeful, but it's definitely going to be put up or shut up at the beginning of next year.
Is Joe Mauer back?
Yes, at a reduced price, but he will be back one more year.
Is Tyler Austin a guy?
He's a guy, but I think if he continues to perform the way he has, he's going to draw interest from others.
Ooh, really? I don't expect them to do much in the offseason. I don't think there's much to add.
No, I think they're big plays trying to fucking get Escobar back. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think they're going to go hard after him.
That'd be exciting. He's done well. Dozier not as well. He had a couple of game-winning home runs and all that in his first couple of games, but since then he hasn't done much. Escobar, he's almost done better than he did with the Twins, so that is exciting to see right there. Anything else with the baseball?
Oakland, I'm falling further and further in love with Oakland. I know they're probably going to play the Yankees in that one gamer. They might have a chance.
Well, that's if the Yankees make the playoffs now.
Right. Yeah, if the Yankees. Yeah. By the way, the Yankees are down to what, 6.5 behind Boston, or is that 6 after another loss today for Boston? But I think it's obvious the Red Sox division. I don't think they're going to blow the lead. However, crazier things have happened. Oakland's got a chance. It just seems like Houston, for whatever reason, has been up and down the second half. Obviously, I think they're the better team, more talented team, but there's something in the water right now with Oakland. I think they're, 45-15 the last 60 games. That's no longer can anybody not consider them as a real threat when and if they do get it in.
Sean Manaea is on the DL. I guess he would be the guy you'd want in that one-game playoff. He hasn't pitched all that great. He had the no-hitter. He got off to a great start, but since then he's just kind of been around.
Yeah.
So I suppose he would be the guy for a one-game playoff. But
here's the thing: I think that team's built that it really doesn't matter because 6 through 9 might be bold in some people's eyes, but hitting 6 through 9 the way they got that bullpen right now, I think that might be the best or second best in the majors.
Cleveland, Houston, that should be a good series.
Should be a very good series, absolutely. And I mean, if Bauer comes back and is what he's been this year, that could be very, very intriguing.
That's what, a 4 to 6 week deal with his leg. So that's.
I hope he gets a start or two at the end of September before the playoffs start. Yeah.
I think the Cubs are going to have the best record. They got a 3-game lead or so. So if Cubs get the best record, they get the wild card. Braves kind of put some distance. So if you got Braves winning that deal, the West is still – you expect the Dodgers to do it, but we're down to 30 games here, and they're still 2.5 back.
Yeah, I think they're still clearly the most talented team, and obviously that only goes so far. But I think when it's all said and done, the Dodgers will find a way. It might come down to the last weekend, probably will come down to the last weekend. But I think the Dodgers and D-backs ultimately both get in.
Cardinals are on the come.
They are. That might be the spoiler to one of the teams out west. They have been on fire, much to my surprise. Consistent, and Matt Carpenter might be your NL MVP. But
wow. You get Cardinals-Cubs first-round series. So
wouldn't that be something, huh? Yeah. There are a lot of appealing potential series in the playoffs here. The way they sit right now with a month plus left.
Maybe Atlanta and Dodgers. See if what happens there. You look at the guys that have hit like 20-some home runs or so when they've been 20 or younger. There's been like 12 or 15 of them. Almost all of them are in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
You have Acuna's got 20. Is that too much to say that he's going to be a Hall of Famer because he's gotten off to a really good start?
Yeah, he's been phenomenal. I mean, is it too early? In all honesty, yeah, but it's still kind of hard not to see the potential. You know, I've been prone to
40 home runs.
Right. I've been prone to make bold. He, I mean, for as young as he is and what he's doing, the chances of him being a Hall of Famer are exponentially greater than the average player just coming up at his age. Let's just put it that way.
Juan Soto, I thought was going to win Rookie of the Year. Now I think it's a pretty good race.
Yeah. And long term, I might actually like Soto more, but
Acuna, he's been the real deal.
Yep.
A lot of guys that have come up right away and performed right away. So I like to see that. Let's see. Who comes back first, Stacken or Charlie?
Charlie.
I think Stacken's been gone for a good 20 minutes.
Yeah, probably.
Shield reunion. I was a little surprised. They're all healthy again. It was a good surprise. What happens here? You got Strowman with the briefcase. We do something in WrestleMania with these three guys. What would you do?
I thought I had it semi figured out, and then I got the Shield surprise caught me off guard as it did anybody else. Honestly, I don't know. I mean, I try to come up with something, but there's 50 different ways they could go, but right now there's 500 ways that they could go and make some segment of the fan base happy. My big thing long term, kind of off topic, but not really. I think I sent it to you, but The Rock right now is a Royal Rumble favorite, and that signifies a lot. They're usually not wrong.
The Rock is the Royal Rumble favorite?
Yeah, he is.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
And that what we were talking about off the air last week, I think that's kind of beginning to set up Brock versus Rock.
I think it's him and Roman Reigns. I think if he comes back for one more match.
Well, okay, yeah. Oh, well. Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't thought of that. That's a really good point.
I think it would be beneficial for all parties involved for Brock Lesnar maybe to not be around for maybe a year.
I tend to agree. I don't think it's going to happen that way, but it would certainly probably do it some good.
Let's say he's got that fight at the end of the year, beginning of the year. I think there's a chance he could win that fight. If he wins the fight, I don't think he's at WrestleMania.
Right.
I don't know what happens after that, but if he wins the title, then I think he'll have probably one more fight in July and see what happens there. But I think he's winning the fight. He's probably going to be the underdog, I would guess. But I just think he's such a big son of a bitch that and his wrestling's good enough. I think he's going to take Cormier down, and I think he's going to win.
Yeah, I don't think he will. I think it'll be entertaining, but I think ultimately DC's going to beat him.
Will that be his last fight?
DC's last fight? The UFC doesn't want it to be, but it probably will be. UFC, it brings a whole other tangent here, but the UFC's kind of banking the fact that old John Jones will be eligible pretty soon.
Is there any chance at all we get a third fight?
Yes. If DC beats Brock, that's what they want next year.
I know he wants to beat him very badly. I just don't think he can.
I don't think he can, but it's like 95% chance that he won't.
Would he want to end his career like that?
Yeah, well, right. if he beats Brock in a dominant fashion, I think he's going to ride off into the sunset. He basically has to. But the other factor with the heavyweight division is that supposedly Cain Velasquez is just about ready to come back and fight finally. And DC and Cain have been teammates and friends for a really long time, so that might be the passing the guard back to Cain. Because for my money, when healthy, Cain's still the best in the world.
The July 4th shows have been kind of disappointing the last couple of years. If Brock Lesnar wins his fight, I think it's him and John Jones at heavyweight.
Wouldn't that be fun?
And that'd be, I don't know if it's the biggest fight they can have with Conor, but I would say that's about as big of a fight, or at least with heavyweight, probably the biggest fight they've ever had.
Right.
So that's exciting. Charlie, will Stack and be here in the next 5 minutes?
Yes, he will. He's trying to figure out which group of 5 team has to go to the Peach Bowl. That's what he's trying to figure out.
Mentioned this maybe a week ago, but covering shit you may not care about. High school football on a Friday. Do you care about that more since you have to do something with it, or?
It's weird because I don't ever go out on Fridays. I'm in the office with 2 or 3 other guys to answer phones, while the guys who get paid more go out and cover the one game in great detail. So, I mean, I guess I do care about it more because basically I think after my freshman year of college, I went to, I think, 1 Dakota Valley game, and I think maybe I went to 1 other the next year, and that was it. So I didn't really care too much about high school football until I started working at the newspaper, and then you're inundated with it on Fridays. And, I don't know, instead of 1 team with a whole bunch of teams to kind of follow that, yeah, I mean, there's some sports I don't care about as much, and I don't want to necessarily publicly throw those under the bus. Football isn't one of those, though. I don't have a problem with covering or writing about football stuff.
Has the Sioux City Journal, have they made any cuts, or there been any cuts, or what's because Argus Leader is just down to
there was a guy that got laid off in February, and we've pushed back our deadline.
Who owns?
Because it used to be we ran 2 editions. The first run would go to the farther away places, more than, I don't know what the cutoff was, but places like 20 or 30 miles outside of Sioux City and farther. And then we had the second run, which had obviously more recent information in it that would go to the closer places. We do still do that on Fridays during football season, but that's it. Everything else, it's like 9:40 is our deadline. If we get it after that, it'll go online, but it won't be in the paper for another day.
Nathan Stacken has returned.
Yes, I have.
From his
Thank you.
Conference USA week. What do you think?
Central Florida.
Okay.
Central Florida's in the American Athletic Conference.
Oh, my bad. Who's
we'll
in
pass? Florida Atlantic.
Florida Atlantic. Yeah, Florida Atlantic's going undefeated. By the way, I want to.
No,
not undefeated. Sorry. Not undefeated.
How are they?
No, sorry.
Central Florida?
No, they're going 10. They're going 10-2. My bad.
Okay. All right.
In conference, but I will say that I don't know if you guys discussed week 1 potential upsets, but my big one is Florida Atlantic over Oklahoma.
Ooh, he likes it.
Boy.
Stones, but I guess we already knew Stacken had Stones based off his Virginia Tech pick.
Oh,
true.
Oh, I thought it was going to be based off the kid, but we'll take that too.
Not bad, Stacken. I'll give that to you. That was good. Wasn't bad. It was good.
Thank you.
Your college football playoff is as follows.
I made a late change, and
Jeepers, you've had these picks since March.
No, I didn't. But I made a late change. I had Georgia for the longest time, and I unfortunately feel like something's going to happen, and they're going to get
a hurricane against Florida. It's not going to happen this year.
They're going to lose a game they shouldn't, like LSU or
Wofford.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, Wofford. Yeah, the Wofford Terriers. So I took Georgia out. I have Alabama in.
As the one?
As the one. Nope. As the 2. As the 2.
Clemson's the one.
Hold on. I got a draft here. Are you
Oh,
kidding?
yeah, you've got a fucking fantasy draft.
Well,
don't you?
someone just took Christian McCaffrey from me. God damn it! I was sniped. I tell you, sniped.
What round are you in?
It's a bad sign that we're both high in the white running back, but I love McCaffrey this year.
Okay, so Schottenkirk, I have Melvin Gordon available. My first
I don't need anything else. Take Melvin.
Take Melvin. Okay,
What
it's a
round are you
PPR.
in?
It's a PPR league, so I could Michael Thomas is available. AJ Green,
Ooh, Michael Thomas available. Take Michael Thomas.
but I have Kamara already.
Oh well, shit. How many teams in the league?
10. I got 10 seconds.
Take Melvin. Take Melvin.
Okay, boom.
You got the best 1-2 for running backs, bar none.
Well, thank you. I was gonna take Christian McCaffrey too because I thought it's gonna be sweet. Anyway, so back to this. I took Georgia out at the last moment. I have Clemson is my 1 seed. Alabama is my 2. Let me make sure I have this pulled up here. Yep, I have Alabama as my 2. I have Wisconsin as my 3, and I have Washington as my 4.
Charlie?
So Stacken has the exact same that I do, which makes me feel less confident in mine.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
Just kidding, Stacken.
That's
fine. You don't have to apologize as long as I find out you didn't hack into my Google Docs and just steal mine.
No,
then it's fine.
I was going to keep Georgia for the longest. So if I had kept Georgia in, I would have kicked Washington out.
Georgia's your last team out.
Yes.
First team out.
Yes, followed by Miami.
We have Clemson versus Alabama, I assume.
I have Clemson versus Alabama in the national championship. I have Clemson winning it all.
We have 3 Clemsons in Alabama and Ohio State. Everybody has Clemson and Alabama in the playoff. Your Heisman winner.
It's going to be a running back this year, and I really like Bryce Love. I think I will take him, but I will give strong consideration to Jonathan Taylor from Wisconsin. But in the end, I will give it to Bryce Love.
We have 2 Bryce Loves. We have a Khalil Tate. We have a Jonathan Taylor. We have a Trace McSorley.
Are you the Trace McSorley?
Yes, I am. I'm big on Penn State this year. Look at that.
Very good.
What round are you in?
Just started the 3rd round.
What's your Sugar Bowl?
What?
Your Sugar Bowl.
Oh, sorry. Sugar Bowl. Let's see, what do I have here? I have Georgia.
Georgia and who?
Texas.
Texas. Rose Bowl.
Stanford versus the Ohio State.
It's a lot of red. Fiesta Bowl.
Penn State versus Boise State.
Peach Bowl.
Catholics versus convicts.
Oh, we're doing it again, fuckers. We're doing it again.
So everybody had Boise State as the group of 5 team, which means Boise State will not be the group of 5 team that comes out then.
Would it be Florida Atlantic potentially then?
Central Florida?
It could be.
Houston and Memphis. Some damn team.
Could be San Diego State, I guess, too.
How far off am I compared to everyone else in the New Year's Six?
The same. Schottenkirk had West Virginia and South Carolina in the Sugar Bowl.
Okay, I like that. That'd be very good. I'd like to see that.
Mainly because I just want to see a little bit of a shakeup.
I like it. I think that would be I would much rather watch your Sugar Bowl than mine between Georgia and TCU.
What, Charlie? What is a game? Because that West Virginia, South Carolina, could they both be the 2nd or 3rd best teams in those conferences? Sure. What game could happen? What's a game that's an oddball game that it's not likely, but it could happen? Would
for
Arizona, would Arizona
like for a New Year's Six game?
Yeah, would Arizona, Wisconsin be different?
Yeah, that'd be different. This isn't going to happen this year. And
How
this,
about
all right. I'm gonna give you my 20.
I got a game for you.
My
I'm
20.
going to ask you a question quick.
Yep.
Jarek McKinnon is available in round 3. Do I take him?
Yes. Yes.
The only reason I ask is because I'm concerned about the hamstring.
Yeah, well, round 3, beginning of round 3 or end of round 3?
I'm pick 5, so I'm right smack dab in the middle.
Well, you've already got 2 running backs, so you need a receiver or a tight end.
Yeah, Mike Evans is the best one. I don't want to take him. I can do a flex. I could do McKinnon in the flex, or I could take Fitzgerald. Or
I would take Mike Evans, but that's just me.
oh, he was such a bust for me last year. Okay,
Yeah, well, he's the most talented guy available. So,
all right,
Charlie, certain things have to happen, but I've got a game that I think cannot be topped. What do you have here?
Which bowl game is it?
I guess it would have to be the Fiesta or the Peach. It involves the group of 5. It would have to be a group of 5 team. Yeah.
Is it Boise State versus Washington?
That would be great.
Because I just thought of one that would be interesting and fun.
But
and mine's not for this season. This would be after the 2019 season. Like it would, but I don't think we can. Or if I'll give you the 2 for me. Although I think this is far more likely next year than this year. One would be Nebraska against UCLA. So you've got Scott Frost against Chip Kelly. And then the other one would be Florida State against Texas A&M. So you've got Jimbo Fisher against the team he left. And I think both of those would be quite interesting.
Or Nebraska, Central Florida.
Yeah, that would probably be pretty interesting too. I wish I would have thought of that one.
Does anybody know what game I'm talking about here? It involves a group of 5 team.
I wasn't paying attention.
I cannot think of a better game than this.
I'm going to give one. I don't know if this is it. Tell me if I'm wrong. Well, I don't know. Is it Navy against Georgia Tech?
Army-Navy rematch in the
Jesus Christ.
Orange Bowl. Not the game I would want, but no, that's not the game. Any guesses here?
You got to give us a hint.
It involves a group of 5 team that we've talked about, and it.
All right, a group of 5 team. Let's. Okay, you gave us a group of 5 team.
It involves a group of 5 team.
They're playing. Are they east or west of the Mississippi River?
Group of 5 team east of the Mississippi. They would have to play a team that a lot of people like this year. That team would maybe have to lose a couple of games for that to happen. This is not. I don't think this is impossible. One group of 5 team would 11-1 probably would be good enough.
Is it Florida Atlantic and USC?
It's Florida Atlantic and Alabama.
Oh yeah, that would be better. Yeah, that would.
Is there any other game that would be better than that?
I think the only one that I would put in the same. I think Alabama and Michigan with Saban versus Harbaugh. Yeah. Although that's kind of calmed down the last year or so. But yeah, I think that's right. It's tough to come up with one that would be juicier than that, where you just be like, "Oh my goodness, there are going to be so many subtweets."
Or maybe UCLA versus the Eagles. One of those 2.
How about Central Florida versus Alabama? Or has that lost its luster?
That'd be something. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be good. I don't think it would be as good as if it was played last year. Because it's a whole different staff at Central Florida now. But I think that would make the top 5 or 6 biggest potential ones you could have.
We all like Florida Atlantic. We would like them to be good. That would be nice. All right.
So does this mean we're all picking Florida Atlantic? None of us are picking them to go to a New Year's Six bowl. I would assume we all think they're going to do well. Is Lane Kiffin still the head coach at Florida Atlantic in 2019?
Nope.
Where does he go?
I want to say Michigan, but I can't do it.
Hey, I got to think of what schools are most likely to get fired. Oh, I got it.
I got
it.
Uh,
Lane Kiffin.
He's going to LSU.
Damn it. That's what I was going to say.
oh, there we go. Holy shit. That's beautiful. That's absolutely beautiful.
Who would Ohio State go after?
Fuck. Shit. Are you kidding me?
Not.
I don't know, the guy from Iowa State, if they go to a bowl game again, or I don't know, maybe actually I think he gets something.
Yeah, that's it. No, Matt Campbell's going to be somewhere big, too.
I don't know, though, but, like, if Ohio State gets rid of Urban Meyer, like, I feel safe in saying you're not going to get Nick Saban to leave Alabama. You're not going to get Dabo Swinney to leave Clemson. And just because I think he likes the area, you're not going to get Chris Peterson to leave Washington or probably Chip Kelly to leave UCLA. But, like, basically any other coach would be on the table, though, of, like, yeah, we'll just pay you more money and you'll have an easier chance to win here.
Would Alabama be the only job Dabo Swinney would leave Clemson for?
Yes.
My hot take is I don't think Dabo's going to go to Alabama. I think he's going to stay at Clemson because whenever Nick Saban retires, it's going to be so hard to go in and do, like, especially if you've not been around any of those players, to come in and be like, hey, you guys did things this way. And even though you won, we're going to do different and do it my way now. And I think it's just easier to win at Clemson. Or it's easier for him to stay at Clemson and continue to be fantastic.
Would Kirby Smart leave for Alabama?
I think by the time Saban leaves, which is going to be a number of years yet, I think there'll be another name or two in the mix. I don't think it's going to be either one of those two guys.
Tom Herman.
Yeah, that's a good point. That, I mean, it could be 7 years when Saban leaves Alabama, and 7 years from now, there's probably someone who is either at a Group of 5 school or who has never been a head coach before, who's going to very quickly work his way up the ranks and be great.
How old is Nick, by the way? 66?
He's like 65, 66, I think.
Okay, and he's said publicly quite a few times that he thinks he wants to go to 75, which is another 8 years.
Fuck me. I'm shit.
What
I mean,
if
can you blame him, though, making $8 million a year and winning championships? And
Fine with me.
how about that Peterson at Washington or PJ Fleck?
PJ fucking Alabama would be the greatest thing ever.
That would be great.
I hope he doesn't get fucking fired next.
I don't think Chris Peterson's going to leave Washington just because I think I read somewhere that he likes the Pacific Northwest, and he had so many chances to leave Boise State for other huge jobs, and the only school he left for was for another school in the Pacific Northwest. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong. I think he just likes that area and is just going to always be there.
And nobody's mentioned Ozzie Guillen this entire show. Lounge 259 next week. We'll talk something about some shit, I suppose. It's on a we'll have some college football to talk about, so that'll be good. And,
We do an NFL preview next week, or
if you want to, yes. Do not
I don't care either way.
Do not extensively prepare as you may have done for this.
Like, I can go through and pick playoff stuff. I'm not going to go through and pick every NFL game, though. I did that once, and it took so long.
So we'll have a quick preview of the professionals, and we'll talk about the college ranks. For everybody, for Grain Belt, for Chocolate Milk, for Charlie, and for Shottenkirk. We'll see you next week for Lounge 200.